الحديث الثاني الإسلام والإيمان والإحسان. عن عمر بن الخطاب أيضا رضي الله عنه قال: بينما نحن جلوس عند رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ذات يوم إذ طلع علينا رجل شديد بياض الثياب شديد سواد الشعر لا يرى عليه أثر السفر ولا يعرفه منا أحد حتى جلس إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فأسند ركبتيه إلى ركبتيه ووضع كفيه على فخذيه وقال: يا محمد أخبرني عن الإسلام. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: الإسلام أن تشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمدا رسول الله وتقيم الصلاة وتؤتي الزكاة وتصوم رمضان وتحج البيت إن استطعت إليه سبيلا. قال: صدقت. فأجبنا له يسأله ويصدقه. قال: فأخبرني عن الإيمان. قال: أن تؤمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر وتؤمن بالقدر خيره وشره. قال: صدقت. قال: فأخبرني عن الإحسان. قال: أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. قال: فأخبرني عن الساعة. قال: ما المسؤول عنها بأعلم من السائل. قال: فأخبرني عن أماراتها. قال: أن تلد الأمة ربتها وأن ترى الهفاة العراة العالة رئاء الشاء يتطاولون في البنيان. ثم انطلق فلبست مليا ثم قال لي: يا عمر أتدري من السائل؟ قلت: الله ورسوله أعلم. قال: فإنه جبريل أتاكم يعلمكم دينكم. رواه Muslim. So what this narration is saying, this is the second hadith, and after the first hadith talked about intention being the base for all actions. Intention is presence. It's the presence of the being, and it's also the sincerity of the heart towards something. So that's what the intention goes to, regardless of what the outer action might be. The source of the judgment is through the intention. And the man only gets what he intended for. So after the person, he rectifies his intention, then he comes to know what is Islam and what is Iman and what is Ihsan. Islam, Iman and Ihsan are the three fundamental aspects of Islam, of the Sharia, or you can say of the Deen of Allah. So Islam is the outer aspect, you could say. It has to do with the rulings. It's a submission. It's submitting to, the ordinance of Allah. And Iman is the inner aspect of the beliefs. So with that which one goes, to do the outer aspect of the Shariat, you have to have the inner. So it's the Iman is the foundation of the Islam. And then just how Shariat has, just how you have the outer aspect of the religion, which is the Islam, then you're going to have the inner aspect, which will be termed the Ihsan. So the Ihsan is the inner purification of an individual, and all and everything related to it. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, he gives you a summary of what each is. And in this narration, the Prophet, he is with his companions, and as they're sitting, a man comes up to them, and the man, he's wearing all white, and his hair is extremely black, so it signifies that he is a young man. He has black hair, and that he's someone noble, because he's wearing such clean clothing. He is someone of, no one would have assumed that he is like a slave or something. Everyone, when they saw him, this questioner, they knew that he was someone of dignity. And the ulama, they say that a person, just how Jibreel, this individual, he came to the Prophet, peace be upon him, he sat in the certain way that he did. It shows the adab it shows how someone has to be. So knowledge, which was what Jibreel alayhi salam was doing, he was showing us how to seek knowledge. It has its conditions as well, and it comes with its purification of the outer and inner, because the human body is a vessel, so whatever it is what it's filled with, so that's what it is. So Jibreel alayhi salam, he asked the Prophet, peace be upon him, what is Islam? And the Prophet, peace be upon him, said that Islam is that you testify that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his messenger. So there's two aspects of Islam. The first is realizing that the oneness of Allah, that he's the source of all things, and the second, that the prophets are his conveyors. They teach people about Allah, about his rulings and the paths to him. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, said the first aspect of Islam is that you testify that there is no God but Allah, and that the Prophet Muhammad is his messenger, and that you establish the prayer. To establish the prayer means to be consistent with the prayer, and to do it in its correct times, and to make it something that's established in your life. And there's 5 times of prayer, and each time has its specific time, and one has to establish those times. So that's what it means to establish the prayer. وَتُؤْتِيَ الزَّكَاةِ تُؤْتِيَ يُؤْتِي. So ata yu'ti, and it means to give. So that one gives the zakat. So zakat is given. Zakat comes from the root word, which means to purify. So when one gives zakat, they're purifying their wealth. So zakat is the wealth that's given every year, and it's approximately around 2%. Depends upon the individual how much he has, and that's how much he gives to the poor. And the other aspect of Islam is that one fasts. وَتَصُومَ. Tasum is to, Sama yasumu is to fast. To fast means to abstain from eating, from drinking, and from all evil deeds, from sunrise to sunset. And specifically in the month of Ramadan. وَتَحُجَّ الْبَيْتَ, and hajja yahujju is to make a pilgrimage. So one makes a pilgrimage to al-bayt, which is the Kaaba. In istata'ta ilayhi sabila, if one has the means to it. That's the precondition. Also the precondition, every one of these has a precondition. The precondition of salah is the wudu. So one needs to have the outer purification before one can perform the salah. The precondition of zakah is one has to have money. And the precondition of Ramadan, the fasting of Ramadan, or in general, is one has to have health and there's no hardship in it. And the precondition of the pilgrimage is that one has the means to, or one is able to actually go. The precondition of all of these revolves around the intention. That's why the intention, Imam Nawawi, he put that as his first hadith. So everything has a prerequisite. قال صدقت, and when the Prophet, peace be upon him, explained all these things to this man, no one knew he was Gabriel. So when the Prophet, peace be upon him, explained it, Gabriel, this man, he said, Gabriel took the form of a man. He said that you have spoken the truth. So everyone was surprised that he asked the question and he affirmed the accuracy of what the Prophet said, that it was the truth. So everyone was surprised that he would say that. And then he asked the Prophet, peace be upon him, about Iman. And he said Iman is that you shall believe, or you shall believe, and tu'mina billah, you should believe in Allah, wa kutubi wa billahi wa malaikatihi, his angels and his books, wa kutubihi wa rusulihi, and his messengers, wal yawmil akhir, and the last day, wa tu'mina bil qadri khayrihi wa sharri, and that you shall believe in the predestiny of things, the good and the bad. Everything is ordained by Allah. So Iman has 6 aspects. The first aspect is that one believes in Allah. One has this certainty of Allah, that he truly knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's existence. And tu'mina billah, that's the first. Wa malaikati, the second is to believe in these unseen creatures called angels, which sometimes we can see and most of the times people can't. Wa kutubihi, and his revelations, the books that he has sent down to various prophets. Wal yawmil akhir, and the last day, so the final day. Wa tu'mina bil qadri khayrihi wa sharrihi, and the qadr is the predestiny of the good and the bad. Then he asked him about ihsan. He told him ihsan is that you shall worship Allah as if you see him, and if you do not see him, then you know for certain that he sees you. So it just shows that ihsan is to have this feeling of that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his presence is always there. He's all aware. That's the root of ihsan. And all of these can be further divided. So each one of these is further divided. So from Islam we get the root of the Shariat. From Iman we get the root of the beliefs. And from Ihsan we get the purification. So this is the root of all the root of purification, the path to the purification, is to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all present. Then he asked him about the last day, and he said that the person who's asked, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said that the one who's asked, meaning referring to himself, he's not aware as much as the one who's asking. And then the asker of the questions, Gabriel, he said, what are the signs of the hour? And he said that a slave girl, and talid al-amatu, that a slave girl, she will give birth. She'll be, and talid al-amatu rabbataha, that a slave girl, she would give birth to her own master. وأن ترى الهفاة العراة العالة رياء الشاء, and that you shall see these destitute, barefooted, naked رياء الشاء, the herders of animals. يتطاولون في البنيان, they shall compete in the buildings. They will compete in rising, in making buildings, essentially. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, he said that the sign of the hour is when you see worthless people, when you see people who are worthless in the sense that, you know, there are people whose nature isn't really, it's not that, and they're doing something else. He said that is the sign of the hour. And then Gabriel, he left. ثم انطلق فلبست مليا. The narrator of the Hadith, Umar ibn al-Khattab, he said, then he dispersed. Then ثم انطلق فلبست مليا. He left and we stayed there for a while. ثم قال لي يا عمر. Then the Prophet said to me, O Umar, أتدري من السائل? Do you know who this questioner was? قلت الله ورسوله أعلم. I said that Allah and His Messenger know best. قال فإنه جبريل. He said, it is Gabriel. أتاكم يعلمكم دينكم. He came to teach you the religion, the deen. So this is the fundamental aspect of the religion. Everything revolves around these three things, essentially. So you have Islam, which is divided into 5 things. That you shall bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his messenger. 1. That you shall establish the prayer. You shall give the zakat, fast the month of Ramadan. That you shall, if you can, pay pilgrimage or go do pilgrimage to the house, to the Kaaba. And then Iman is divided into six types. So you have Iman in Allah, Iman in the angels, and Iman in the books, Iman in the messengers, Iman in the last day, and Iman in the predestiny of good and evil. And Ihsan, the basis of Ihsan is to have this awareness in yourself of the presence of Allah at all times.